Well, you may have heard about the Migrant Caravan and are wondering, what's the deal with that? Well, according to the United Nations, it is estimated that right now about 7,200 migrants are on their way to the United States, on foot, primarily from Guatemala and Honduras. Depending on where you get your information, you might be feeling one of two ways. If you get your information from Donald Trump, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, or Mike Pence, you might be terrified right now that this is a terrorist/criminal mob coming to wreak havoc on the United States. However, if you're a normal person who get your information from journalists who are actually on the ground traveling with the Migrant Caravan, and who are also, I might add, grounded in reality, you'd see that many members of this group are women and children who are fleeing desperate poverty and brutal gang violence in their respective countries. According to ABC News, reporters have witnessed many women and children passing out from dehydration as a result of their seemingly impossible journey that could very well end up being thousands of miles, again, on foot from their home countries to safety. CNN's Bill Weir is reporting on the kindness of Mexican strangers in providing food and hats to the migrants as they pause in their journey to the U.S. border. Today, the migrants are in Huixla, Mexico, which is about 1,000 miles from McAllen, Texas, the closest U.S.-Mexico border crossing. 13 days into their journey, with nothing but the clothes on their backs, and often with their children in hand, these people are making the journey with hope of finding a better life. But like I said earlier, it depends on from where you're getting your information. Despite Donald Trump's own State Department releasing a report on worldwide terrorism recently, proclaiming that it is, quote-unquote, no credible evidence to support terrorists are setting up shop in Mexico to invade the southern border. Our embarrassing conspiracy-spouting president continues to repeat blatant lies to scare the American public. From the 2017 State Department report, quote, at year's end, there was no credible evidence indicating that international terrorist groups have established bases in Mexico, worked with Mexican drug cartels, or sent operatives via Mexico into the United States. Unquote. But you wouldn't know that if you're listening to Trump and his legion of suffocatingly servile brown-nosers. Without any evidence whatsoever, and with a complete disregard for the information from his own State Department, in an official presidential statement via Twitter, Trump said, sadly, it looks like Mexico's police and military are unable to stop the caravan heading to the southern border of the United States. Criminals and unknown Middle Easterners are mixed in. I have alerted Border Patrol and military that this is a national emergency. Must change laws, unquote. But it doesn't stop there. In a press gaggle, the dangerously shameless Sarah Huckabee Sanders backed Trump's play, and according to CNN's Caitlin Collins, quote, Sarah Sanders tells reporters Trump's absolutely has credible evidence that there are Middle Easterners in the Migrant Caravan. Quote, we have 10 individuals suspected or known terrorists that try to enter our country every day, unquote. Then she says, Trump didn't say terrorists, he said Middle Easterners. Now, that's an important parenthetical from Caitlin Collins. It's not just me, right? That was Sarah Huckabee Sanders blatantly conflating Middle Easterners with terrorists. No? The other kicker here is that Sarah Huckabee Sanders is citing something that the Department of Homeland Security Secretary Kristen Nielsen said in June when she mentioned that little stat about 10 suspected terrorists being blocked from entering the country each day. So, the press secretary is quick to use information provided by cabinet secretaries when it suits her little narrative, but she dismisses it when it doesn't. Because she isn't telling people what the 2017 report found. Remember? No credible evidence that terrorists are setting up shop in Mexico to invade the southern border. It's just stupid. And of course, we have creepy vice presidential robot Mike Pence. In an interview with the Washington Post, he stated, quote, "It's inconceivable that there are not people of Middle Eastern descent in a crowd of more than 7,000 people advancing toward our border."
The president keeps talking about this migrant caravan, and he references Middle Easterners that are part of this caravan without evidence. Why is that? And where is the evidence, if any?
Well, it's inconceivable that there are not people of Middle Eastern descent in a crowd of more than 7,000 people advancing toward our border.
The vice president said, providing no corroborating evidence, mind you, that, quote, "there are statistics on this," unquote. So again, ignoring evidence from his own State Department, again, lying without giving any basis for this claim, members of the Trump administration continue to repeat this blatant lie. Why, though? Well, because there are no consequences, particularly from Republican members of Congress who refuse to hold their president accountable. Look, reasonable people can disagree about the best ways to address immigration of poor and refugee populations. I mean, I vehemently disagree with the typical short on empathy, compassion, and decency, and long on judgment, fear, and lies approach of the Republican Party. The one thing, though, that should remain constant and important is a reliance and adherence to the facts.